Check, check, checking my sound. Check, baby, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I hope that you can all hear me. Let me know if not. This is Regina. Welcome to our webinar and Q&A on making honest money online as an infopreneur. So I want to explain a little bit about why I wanted us to have this little session, this Q&A and this webinar. It's going to be informal. This is, I'm sure a lot of you are in your work day or maybe just getting home from work, depending on where you're located. It's informal. You can ask questions through the Google Plus. The Google Plus setup allows you to add in your questions or comments. So please feel free to add that. But yeah, totally informal. From home, I've got my best friend and graphic designer out here with the baby. My, family and friends are here working, so you may hear some interesting noises in the background. But anyway, so informal chat, and I just want to talk briefly about basically a personal realization that I've had recently about making money online and how I have made money online for the last year. And then also just what it is to be an infopreneur in general. So you may have heard that term infopreneur before, or it may be kind of new to you, or you may have just, understood what it meant from what it implies, but I want to explain a little bit more about that. And then there's going to be a whole section where it's just Q&A. I'm answering questions. People were able to submit questions beforehand. If you're one of my superhero email friends, you got an email from me yesterday that allowed you to submit questions, and so I have tons of cool questions to answer. And if we don't get to all of them during this time, like due to time, what I'll try and do is summarize some of my answers to those questions in the next email that goes out on next Wednesday. So let's start with kind of just like this personal realization that I was talking about making money online. So you may know me, you may not. I'm Regina. I blog over at byregina.com, byregina.com. And you may have seen that over time, what I do and what a lot of other awesome bloggers do is share what we call income reports. And so you'll see sometimes monthly, quarterly, yearly, it just depends, that we're sharing how much we're making online and how we're making it. And usually these bloggers are sharing these reports so that you can kind of understand like what they're doing, what you might be able to implement in your own brand, and just, is it possible to make honest money online, right? Without having to feel icky or bad, about the money that you make. And so you've probably read a few of my income reports if you've read my blog regularly. And I'm going to be releasing one soon. And it's about just kind of the year as an overview. So my first year of blogging I had my first year birthday, of blogging on byregina.com on April 1st of this year, 2015, whatever year we're in. And what I realized over that time, we're very honest in our reports. So what I realized over that time is that I was able to get to that 6-figure income mark. And I realized that it wasn't because I was a blogger, and it wasn't because, I was, able to develop a social media following. The reality of making that 6 figures of income online was, I think, being an infopreneur, okay? And infopreneur as an information entrepreneur. And when you're structuring yourself as an infopreneur, you're not structuring yourself as a blogger. You're not saying, hey, this is my one thing that I do, release blog posts, or this is the one thing that I do, release YouTube videos. You're kind of expanding to where you're trying to set a general impression of yourself as somebody who just gives valuable information. All right, so I think a lot of us are infopreneurs, and we've kind of been like masquerading around or calling ourselves one thing or another. Like, I'm a blogger, I'm a freelancer, I'm a coach, I'm a this. But a lot of us are actually building information businesses. And so that's what I want to talk about today. Kind of a little bit about, how I established that as a 6-figure business, but then also like my 10 favorite ways to make money online in an honest way. And then I'm going to get to answering the question, okay? So let me pull out my iPad and get some notes here of where we're going next. I have to include this in every possible video I can. Anyways, my iPad, you guys. Okay, so what I would like to do first is kind of just say one more thing on infopreneurship, and then we're going to hop into my 10 favorite ways, okay? So the one thing I will say about this is not a get-rich-quick type of thing. I've noticed online a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of websites kind of give this impression of all of us like on a beach somewhere sipping Mai Tais and just watching money roll in or something like that. And that's not the type of business that I'm talking about right now. There will be things that I'm showing you that do make passive income, meaning that you're not, sitting there, working for every single dollar in one sense. But what I'm about to talk about is hard work. And so it's not this on a beach kind of mentality. Like I said, I'm at home right now, and my best friend and graphic designer and a baby are here, and my brother is here helping me edit stuff. And it's real life. So I'm not selling the on a beach mentality, and I just want to be clear about that. It takes a lot of work to establish what we're doing. So here are some signs you might be an infopreneur. If you have friends, family, and anyone who you're connected with on social media coming to you, asking you questions, and you actually like answering those questions, it's a good sign you might be an infopreneur. If you find joy in helping people solve a major problem, but not in the sense that you go just solve it for them, but you're kind of teaching them how to solve it and teaching them how to implement things so that their future is a little bit brighter and more organized, that's also a good sign that you're an infopreneur. And if you're like me and many of my friends and have that never shut off brain problem where your brain is always going, giving you ideas, you may have probably had 7 to 10 business ideas in the last 6 months, then that is also a good sign that you are an infopreneur. And mainly, if you like to communicate, whether it be through the written word, can't speak written word, podcasts, videos, any form of communication where you like to actually teach, that's a great sign. If you ever want to write a book, if you're like a heavy research person, if you're just online at all hours just finding out new things and you just love the process of learning and researching, very, very good signs that you're an infopreneur. And I think that as long as you have a heart to really help, you can build a profitable business off of it. I won't say how profitable. I am not making any promises. It's going to be 7 figures or 6 figures in a year or anything like that. But I do want to speak from personal experience and kind of answer some of your questions. So really briefly, what I'm going to do is screen share over to my screen so that I can show you my top 10 ways to earn money online in an honest way. And so anyway, keep in mind you can ask questions as this webinar progresses. It's very informal. And yeah, so yeah, ask any questions you want. So check it out. So top way, this is not in order of preference, but I'm just going to go through the ways online. So number 1 is just a monetized blog. So I'm on strawberrycurls.com right now, strawberry with an I at the end, and I'm on her blog income report. And this is just an example of a blogger who's just being really transparent online and showing how she makes money online. So she breaks down her income and her expenses here. So there are many different ways to make money through your blog. So this is just one example, but yes, number 1, a monetized blog. So with Strawberry Curls, she specifically makes money through direct sponsorships, affiliate programs, and things like that. And she just publishes these reports for people so people can see how much she's making and the way she's making it in, okay? So that's number 1 way to honestly make money online is a monetized blog. The second thing is a monetized podcast. And I'm gonna pull up probably one of the most popular examples on the web, and that's Pat Flynn, and he has a website called smartpassiveincome.com. And we're on his podcast tab, and you can see it has over 11 million downloads. Well, you can actually monetize your podcast. You can get sponsors. You can share links within your podcast that people go to that are actually affiliate links. And so there are ways to actually make money through podcasting. So if you're able to kind of build up an audio audience, that can be another way to monetize yourself as an information entrepreneur. So Pat Flynn specifically shares information about making passive income, about podcasting, about blogging. He's actually a really amazing resource, one of my favorite. So that would be an example. And I just found this recently. This is a new podcast, relatively new. by two female entrepreneurs who are pretty awesome. And this is lovebeingboss.com. And so, you know, you don't necessarily have Pat Flynn traffic when you first start out. These ladies have some, you know, pretty well-established businesses, but this podcast is pretty new, and they too have been able to sponsor their podcast. So like you can see here, this particular episode was being sponsored by FreshBooks. So you can actually find sponsors who are, you know, the different things that you can negotiate. You might be negotiating a certain amount of payment that they give you for your podcast, for being mentioned, or for telling people, or for sharing a specific link, or they may just be compensating you with products, things like that. But it is totally possible to build a podcast that you monetize. So number 1 was a monetized blog. Number 2 was a monetized podcast. Number 3 is monetized videos, or just a YouTube channel in general that's monetized. And so I'm on Marie Forleo's website, or not website here, her YouTube channel. And she's an amazing example, and obviously she's pretty established here with 100 and almost 70,000 subscribers. But she makes these weekly videos and has been doing this show for so long, and has built up a brand where she is able to make money even just from being on YouTube. So you can either make money through YouTube's program that will allow, you know, for different ads and things to be on your videos, or you can make money through actually mentioning certain things in your videos, linking to them, and, you know, selling products from your videos in one sense. So that's number 3, would be monetized videos. My number 4 favorite way of making money online is actually coaching. And so these programs, whether it be like consulting or coaching, I'm just on the nectarcollective.com, just giving you an example of somebody who does blog consultations and blog coaching. So anyway, she's just explaining her experience, giving people an idea of what is included in her consultation, the investment amount that that she's charging. So this is a great way if you've built up a specific audience that thinks, hey, you know what, Melissa seems to know a lot about blogging. She does it well. Her design is awesome, et cetera, et cetera. You can build up yourself as an expert in that way and start to offer consultations or coaching. So that's my number 4 way, is coaching. Number 5 is ebooks, and I'm going to switch over to my Gumroad page here. So ebooks are pretty huge. This allows people to download your information digitally. You can sell these through a site like Gumroad. You can sell them from your website. You can sell them from Amazon. You know, whatever it is you want to, you can sell ebooks like this. And so this is one of my personal most profitable areas each month as far as making money online, and it's something I highly recommend getting into because they're pretty easy to create. So I'm just going to switch over really quickly to where I'm creating one of these, or where I have created one of these. But you could do something as simple as, I'm on a new computer today, so I'm in Apple Pages, the newest version. But you can do something as simple as creating this online with, on your computer with Pages, or with Canva, or with Word, even Microsoft Word, and you can create something, you know, pretty relatively simply that you can start selling online. And that is how I sell all of these. So my number 5 is ebooks. Number 6, I'm making the differentiation here between an ebook and a workbook. So some of these that you'll actually see here, this is an ebook. These are workbooks. So if you were to purchase this digital download, you could print this off and actually work through an entire workbook of information. And I think that's important to make that distinction, because different people get excited about workbooks than they do than people who get excited about ebooks. And you know, there's some crossover, but basically workbooks are really such a great space to be in because they really help people accomplish important goals. So my number 6 is workbooks, because I feel that those can be super helpful for people. All right, my number 7 way of making money online, and it's going to sound like it should be offline, but it actually can be online, is printed books. So I am on Amazon right now, and I'm looking at my Epic Blog 1-year editorial planner. And so what you'll notice here is this is a printed item. You can add it to your cart and have it shipped to your house. But all of my fulfillment is done through a third-party service, okay? So that means that even though it is something physical, it is all happening online. I never touch these books. Amazon ships these out for me. If you wanted to return it, you didn't like it, you return it to Amazon, they process the return. I never, ever, ever see this item that you purchased, even though I created it. And so I've shown this resource before on a different webinar, but if you actually just go to CreateSpace, which is at createspace.com, this is an Amazon company that allows you to upload your own published works and have them listed on the Amazon website, okay? So that's how I created this, and I think that printed books offer that awesome extra thing that some people are looking for. I'm a person who likes to write on pen, with pen and paper. So printed books are actually my number 7 way of making money online. Again, these are not in order of love or importance. Number 8 is courses. So I'm on Corey Woodard's site right now, and these are the classes that she offers right now. So growing your social media and better blogging. And I think that these are really, really great ways of making money online when you've established a certain presence. So she has chosen to do a really affordable price point for her classes. And so anyway, I think this is a great registration page. So it explains exactly the format, the registration, what's going to be covered, and gives you some details about the class and makes it very easy for people to just register. So this is a great, and it has like a nice clean image. But anyway, so courses, classes, that is my number 8 way. Number 9 is actually webinars like this. Obviously, you don't have to monetize webinars always. This one is not monetized. As you guys know, you didn't pay to get here. This is free, but you can monetize webinars. You can sell this information, and you can actually make people pay in order to watch certain information, or you could use a webinar like this as a way to promote a specific work of yours. So maybe some ebooks that you created, or a new class, or something like that, or somebody else's class, and you're maybe an affiliate for something that you're mentioning in your webinar. So almost any way that you could really monetize a blog or a podcast or other types of videos, you could also monetize a webinar. But you could create a webinar that is for sale. So just a workshop. I'm just doing a 2-hour webinar on XYZ topic. It's $30. That is actually a great way to make some money, especially if you're talking about something very specialized for a certain group of people that are really interested in that topic. So as an infopreneur, I think this right here, even though it's very informal, do you like my hands, is a good way to monetize your brand. And the last way, number 10, so number 9 was webinars, and number 10 that I recommend is actually challenges. And so challenges are something that, typically you'll see that people don't charge for. You'll see people either make you sign up for their email list or join some type of community or something like that in order to participate in challenges like the photo a day in May and the this and the that. But you can actually structure challenges that are so beneficial that you can start to charge for them. So some of the free ones that I've done, I did like a 30-day creative business cleanse challenge. And the other day I did a let's create a mini course in 12 hours challenge, made those free. Next month, you're the first to hear about this. Next month, in the month of May, some collaborator friends and I are doing something called Infopreneur Book Month, InfoBOMO. And so we are actually going to be having a free version and then a paid community where you get daily, weekday tips. You get lessons each weekday of May, and it's all structured to help you create a book in 30 days. So there are 5 different experts in different areas, a publisher, a social media person, a design person, an editor, a copywriter, and we're all helping every single weekday, helping you write your book in 30 days. So that's a community and a challenge that comes with lessons and videos, and it's something that we feel is valuable enough to put a small price point on. So even though it's really like a challenge and we're trying to get the community pumped up about writing books and making money from their information, from their minds, we're going to charge for that. And there will be a free version. So number 10 is challenges, because challenges can do a lot for building your brand in general, as well as make some income for you. Okay, so that's my number. Those are my 10 favorite ways to make money online. And now what I want to do is answer some of the questions that you guys submitted ahead of time. And keep in mind, you can always use the Google Plus Hangout on Air feature to submit some more questions. And again, if I'm not able to get to all of these due to time, have no fear. I'm going to send answers to more of these questions out via my next email, so we can kind of, you know, there are so many good questions, you guys. So anyway, I'm going to get right into them. Remember, you can ask questions as we go as well. The first one I want to answer is from Erica, whom I love. And she says that she gets this question a lot. She's in the same online space as I am, a blogger and an infopreneur herself. She says that she hears people ask this a lot. Do you think it's necessary and or important to release a low-cost item to people's audience, to your audience first? Or do you think somebody can jump right in and sell a higher ticket item such as an e-course as their first product? So the question is, do I need to do a low-cost item first? And let's just say in this example, low cost means I can get something for $20 or under from somebody, or do I jump right in with a course that is going to be $50, $100, $300? So that's a great question, and I can understand how you hear that a lot, Erica. So my answer to that is this. I really feel that it is important that you lower the barriers to entry into your world as much as possible for people. So if there is, basically, if someone's getting to know you and this is their first experience with you, second, third experience, they're baby to you, they're new to you, I think it's important that they have a low barrier to entry to everything that you do. So if you have a ton of valuable content on your blog, on your YouTube channel, as a podcast, whatever it is that you've chosen to do, my barrier to entry is almost zero. It's just time. I just have to be interested enough to watch a few of your videos or read some of your blog posts, listen to your podcast while I'm getting ready in the morning, and know that you are saying what I want you to be saying. You're answering my questions that I didn't even know I had. You're talking directly to me, and I feel a connection. So you've basically built up a lot of value for me, and I had the barrier to entry, was time. Or you have some low-cost items where it's not that much of a decision-making time. So what I mean by that is keep the decision time low in that if you have a $3 workbook or a $5 ebook, people don't typically have to, rack their brain. Should I do this? Should I not? I don't know. Oh my gosh. If it's a lower price point and they already kind of like you and it's seemingly going to answer a question or provide, for a need that they have, $3 or $5 is not that hard to think about. Once you start pricing something at $12, $20, $30, now I have to think for a while before I decide whether I'm going to purchase your ebook or not. So whatever you're doing, I'd say try and have a low barrier to entry. And that, my answer then to your question is don't necessarily launch or have your only paid product being something that's a high priced item. If all I can do with you is just read like a few little free posts on your site or pay $1,000, pay $300, that's going to be hard for a lot of people to overcome. But if you get them with your free content and then get them with that $3 thing, and then they move in and they're like, now I want that $29 workbook, then they're going to keep going with you if they keep liking you. Okay, so that's my answer for the question that you hear a lot, Erica. I would say low barrier to entry is our key there. Okay, my second question that I wanted to get to is from Heather. And she says, I want to start a course, but I'm afraid the idea is too similar to another blogger's course and that they are already teaching. How can I still go about my idea without my audience thinking it's a copycat idea? Super amazing question, especially in this space where a lot of us are, trying to release products and different, information and all of that stuff. So I want to actually screen share and hop to an example to show you what I would do in this situation. Okay, so I'm going to use the example of let's see if I could, that's my new business book cover, excuse me. I'm going to use the example of Blog Shop, and many of you have probably heard of this, and this is one of the probably the most popular, I would say, conferences or workshops for bloggers. So these two amazing women, cool bloggers run this, and basically this is a class that they teach, a workshop that they teach in person and online. So it used to be just in person, and now they also teach an online version that you can register for. So let's approach this as if we also have a heart for teaching bloggers, and we really like Photoshop, and we had this idea, but then we discovered, look, oh man, they already have this amazing product. If I release something like this, people are just going to think I'm copying her or copying them. Okay, so here is my example. Here's what I would do. First off, I would ask myself, everything that I wanted to know. When I didn't know anything about this topic, what did I want to know about it? How did I want to learn it? So for example, but they only used to have in-person workshops, which means, you know, you have to go to one of the cities they're in, and a lot of the people had to travel for these things. So if it was pre them having online, maybe you just think of an idea that means that people can access it more easily. How would you want to learn it? Would you want to learn it online? Would you want to learn it in person? Would you want audio files, et cetera, et cetera? Anyway, I would think about that, and then I would ask myself, what can I add to the learning experience? So in this example, this is a pre-established thing. What I would do is start to ask myself, can I unniche or unniche this? As far as, so this is very targeted. I'm going to teach Photoshop for bloggers. So what I would ask myself is, can I go one way or the other? Can I unniche and maybe teach Photoshop for anyone who's running a website, you know, any type of website? So maybe they focus on blog images. Can I focus on all the different types of things that you might want to use Photoshop for as a website owner? So my social media images, the covers, the daily promotions that I need to do. Do I want to focus on Photoshop for making ebook covers and different information products? Is there a way that I can show my love for Photoshop, also be working with bloggers, but go on a different angle? Can I either, you know, just unniche, make it a bigger thing, or can I make it more specialized and just take a different angle? So I would ask myself that. I would also ask myself, can I change the delivery of the class, the format of the class? Like I said, if it's in person, is it something that I can offer online? I would ask myself, can I add something to the community feature and the experience? So when I started teaching Zero to Blog and Blog to Profit, as you know, Heather, you know, there were already blogging classes out there, tons of them, I'm sure. One thing that I did differently is I made it a for real interactive community. And if any of you have ever been in Zero to Blog or Blog to Profit, then you know people are in our Google Plus community at all hours of the day, commenting, helping each other, giving feedback, voting on stuff, you know, asking for help, giving people ideas. And so this community feature, where there's also another angle, is there's a community manager in each one. And this time around, there's also somebody to help with tech issues in each community. So I think this is different than a lot of the other blogging classes, because a lot of them you just get files delivered to you and there's no interaction. But in this one, you can interact with me and ask questions. You can interact with our wonderful community managers in each community, which is Erica Madden, and then Latricia Jacobs. Oh my gosh, she's amazing. And then we have Katie Price and Deidre Guillory. So we have 4, you know, women in different communities helping people out with different issues. So I would ask myself, can I make the experience of my class different than the other person has made their experience? And then another question I would say is, can you either do the before or the after? So I mean, what I mean by this is, let's say this Photoshop for bloggers exists already. I don't want to just be a copycat. What do people need to know even before they get to that level? Are there things that I can teach before you get to the place where you're trying to use Photoshop as a blogger? Are there things I can teach for after that? So once you have that basic understanding of using Photoshop as a blogger, how can we go next level? How can you start to create new things with the learning that you probably already done elsewhere in somebody else's class or just on your own? So I would go, can I add something before? Can I add something after to my class to make it stand out and be different? And the last thing I might ask is, can I collaborate with someone else that will allow me to expand the idea? So you'll be able to offer more than the other person is offering with their class. Okay, so that's kind of how do you make something different? If somebody already has a course that exists in your genre, if you will, how can you stand out and not just look like a copycat? All right. That was in answer to Heather's question. The next question I wanted to get to was from V. And this is, he or she, I'm so sorry, I didn't even note, so apologize, V. He or she is asking, how much time should you schedule for the project that you're working on each day when you have a full-time job? And then there were some follow-up questions with what benchmarks will help you know when a project is a success, when a product that you've created is a success, and how do you know when to abandon a product that's not working, a product or a project, okay? So question from V, it's a great question. So number one, I totally feel you. I had a full-time job as well when I started this. And so I would say, you're asking how much time should you schedule? There's not really a perfect answer, but what I would say here is, there just are definitely going to have to be major sacrifices when you have that full-time job. My personal strategy for it was, I hate waking up in the morning. I'm not going to lie to you guys. So my personal strategy for it, just I did not like, but I did it, was waking up just about an hour earlier than I normally did. And then I would stay up about an hour later. And so that was usually 5 to 7 times a week. The weekends, obviously, I had a little more time on the weekends just because my full-time job didn't require weekend work. So on those days, if I was able to, and I understand some of you have different responsibilities, but on those days, if I was able to, I spent anywhere from 8 to 15 hours working on the idea. So I won't say there's a specific perfect answer, but if you approach a project in a very organized manner, adding just an extra hour a day, so maybe over the course of a week, you've added anywhere between 5 to 7 hours that you're working specifically on that project. I think that you can get most digital projects and e-products done within, I would say, probably about a month, depending on what you are attacking, okay? So how much time should you schedule? I would try for an hour every day that you're gonna work on it. So maybe 5 to 7 days, add in an extra hour somehow. Maybe that's even just on your lunch break. That's another thing I used to do, was either meet with clients on my lunch break at the nearby coffee shop, or just use my lunch break to work in my car or something random like that, okay? What benchmarks to know a project is a success? I say that you set your own benchmark. So this is how I personally did it. When I was first selling, my first digital product was $3. And I had no traffic at the time, no audience really. And so what I did was I installed Google Analytics, and this was the model that I was going for. I would see how much traffic I got in a month or in a week or whatever time frame you're looking at. And then I'd see how much of that traffic actually clicked to see my one digital product. So let's say I had 100 visits. And then let's say 30 of those, that's a high number, but let's say 30 of them went and actually clicked to see my digital product. So now that's 30% click-through rate to see my $3 workbook. And let's say of those 30, only three people purchased it. So 3 out of 30, that's 10% of the people who clicked on it purchased it. And we saw that 30% of the people who even landed on my site went to view it. Okay, so now I know my numbers. For every 100 people who come to my site, I'm gonna get about 3 sales. So that, to me, what I did was I said, okay, how much traffic would I need to actually make this a profitable product? So at that price point, and with those numbers, you have to do the calculations. Okay, well that means I need 20,000 people to make X per month off of this one product. So if that's your goal, I'd say set your benchmarks like that. So set them based on traffic. Like, I need to get this much traffic to get this many views. And once I get this many views, I get this many sales. And if you feel like any of those numbers are low, then try and convert a little bit better through 2 methods. If you get a lot of traffic, but you're not getting a lot of people viewing your product, look into better product design for the cover of it, whatever it may be. It could be a course, it could be a book. Design it like a beautiful book cover. And then also describe it better within your site and link it from more places organically. Make sure it's in your sidebar. Make sure you've written a blog post about it, and maybe include it in a video or 2. And maybe it has its own page on your site. If you're getting a lot of people viewing it, but you're not getting people to buy it, think about a few things you can change. 3 things. Can you change the price point of it to kind of help with sales? Can you have a better description once somebody lands on that product page itself? Does it just need a better description or more images, more shots of what the inside is going to look like, what the experience is going to look like? And then the third thing is check your payment process. Is it really easy for people to actually buy your product? There might be some hangups. I got a lot of people who would email me and say, hey, the only way I can pay is a credit card. I don't want to pay on a credit card, or I can't pay on my international credit card. Can you offer PayPal for this product? So I got a lot of people emailing that to me, but how many people didn't email that? How many people just did not buy my product because they weren't able to buy it? So you got to ask yourself, I would ask myself those 3 questions. And then I'd say your last question, V, was how do you know when you want to just ditch something and move on? I would say once you've set your benchmarks and started reaching some of those goals, and your product is still not performing after you've made the tweaks that we just talked about, then I'd say it's probably time to take that product, break it into some free blog posts, combine it, roll it into a higher paid product that's more, I guess, more expanded version of it, or just, you know, scrap it completely. But if you're not reaching your benchmarks, probably after 6 months, you know, and obviously just keep in mind the amount of traffic you have, right? You're not gonna get 1 million sales when all you have is 2,000 visits a month or something like that, right? So keeping in mind your percentage traffic, I'd say ditch something after about 6 months of it not performing. And when I say ditch, you can leave it in your digital library, but don't let it take up that primary space on your sidebar or wherever it may be, okay? Next question is from Whitney. There were 2 Whitneys, so this is Whitney number 1, if you will. So she is asking, when you first decide to begin accepting payments for products, is it necessary to already have a business license filed and a separate business bank account, or is it okay for me to accept payments into my personal account, at least initially, as long as I'm keeping super accurate track? This is a great question. I'm so glad you asked it, Whitney. My answer to you is protect yourself by not mixing your personal assets with your business assets ever, pretty much ever. At the bare minimum, maybe establish a free PayPal account where you can start accepting a free business PayPal account where you can start accepting payments for everything that you're making, and don't mix. That's just because you want to protect yourself in the horrible, but possible event that someone were to sue you, your business rather. You want to make sure that you have, in my opinion, you want to make sure that you have a separate business entity that you've established in your state or in your country, wherever you live, a separate business entity. That means that if your business gets sued, your personal assets are not going to be up for grabs. So if you're just a sole proprietorship, excuse me, and you don't have insurance in place, your personal assets are up for grabs if your business is sued. So keeping your account separate and keeping the entity separate is the best way to protect yourself. So even if you have established a separate entity, but you're letting all your money come into one account and you're paying both personal and business stuff out of the same account, a lot of argument can be made that some of that money is actually business money. How will they be able to tell how much money should be awarded in a lawsuit should it go through? So please, please, please protect yourself. Establish a separate business entity as soon as possible, and make sure that you're complying with all the laws in your state and in your country about what taxes you need to be paying, state sales tax, whatever, and also establish a separate bank account that you treat as a business bank account. That is my advice on that, and thank you for that awesome question, Whitney. And then the next question I'm going to grab is from Tony, and Tony asks, people say that you should ask your audience what they want before you create information products. But what if you don't have an audience to ask? I feel I need to create my course so that when people find out about me, I have something for sale. So great question, Tony. You're saying, everyone says, ask your audience, but what about when I don't have one? And I was in the same position as you were. So I would say that you should consider possibly something that is a lower barrier to entry. So if it's a course, so you're going to be spending all this time building this course, and let's say it takes you 2 months to build the course, and you weren't able to do the market validation of finding out from your audience if they would buy that course. You do run the risk of spending all that time in developing a course that not as many people are going to be interested in buying. So what I would say is do the lower barrier to entry products. So free blog posts, free podcasts, free videos, free webinars like this one, and then also a smaller paid product. So again, $20 or under. So whatever you're building this class on, it's probably going to be broken down into modules or lessons. Release 1 or 2 of those lessons as a small ebook or a small workbook and start to see how those things do. Other than that, I would say just ask yourself, what did you want to know back when you didn't know these things? So if you would be interested in taking a course like that, or past you would have been interested in taking a course, it's possible and likely that you're going to find other people, other audience members who want to take that course. And then I would say ask friends and family. And then I'd also say join a community, join a free community online, like a Google Plus community or a Facebook group that has what you think would be your target audience in it, and start to converse and see what everyone else is saying, ask questions, and then honestly grab some feedback at some point. So you don't necessarily have to have this large audience on your website in order to get some market validation and find out if your idea would sell. So I would just definitely look into joining a community. So great question, Tony. The next question that I have that I want to grab really quickly is one from Dawn. And Dawn asks, I'd like to know how you best establish yourself as an expert, at least expert enough to produce an e-product or a webinar. If you're new to online and if you're new to the blogging world. So she says that she's working to produce quality content, but she feels she has a long way to go. I like this question, Dawn. And I would always try and think about it like this. You're an expert to someone based on the experience that you offer them, okay? And the experience that you offer them, it comes in three major things in my opinion, okay? So this is my breakdown. So you don't have to take this as the rule on this, but this is my breakdown. Your experience is going to be mainly three things when somebody's just getting to know you. All right. So first off, it's how everything looks and functions. So as soon as someone lands on your site or your whatever it may be that somebody first gets to, it might be a webinar, it might be your Twitter, it might be whatever. Mainly, it's going to be your site. How does it look? How does it function? Does it look like this is somebody I can trust? Did they take the time to design a nice website or have it designed for them? Does the picture in their sidebar or on their about page look like a professional took it? You know, maybe we don't all have the money to invest in professional shots immediately. So did you get some natural lighting and a great photo and go in and edit it, you know, yourself, or have somebody edit it for you with a free app like VSCO, VSCO, I don't even know how it's said. You know, so there's just that look, and then there's the function. How is it functioning? How is it working? If I click on links, do they work? All of that stuff. Then there's also just the content in general. Right? So I would say you're an expert to somebody if you can organize information in a way that it makes sense to them. Or if your tone is in such a way that's like, oh my gosh, you know, Dawn is talking just to me when she wrote this post or when she made this video. So it's your tone and it's your content. And the thing is, you don't actually have to know more than the next person. You don't actually have to have this, you know, great, I got a PhD in this. I didn't. And no one's ever even asked me, did I graduate from college? Did I go to school for what I'm talking about, you know? So you don't have to have a degree in it. It's about, did you organize the information well? Did you present valuable information? And was it explained in such a way that I can understand it? So again, you're establishing your expertise based on this experience that you're setting up for people. So you did that through the what people were seeing, and then the content that you're releasing. And then you can also do that through interactions. If you're some distant figure, most people are not going to be comfortable enough to spend money with you. For the most part, there are definitely brands and people who have themselves set up like that, and that's fine. But what I would say is avoid third-person language in your bios on Twitter, in your website. Avoid talking about yourself. Regina is a blogger who okay? Talk about yourself in first person and relate to the person. Respond to comments on your blog. And if you're not able to do that, maybe hop on Twitter and talk to the person on Twitter. Actually use people's names. Just make it something. Make an interaction with you memorable, okay? You know, look more into a person before you respond to them. Before you respond to them on Twitter, have you looked at their bio? Have you clicked on their site? Have you read their last few tweets? Do you know who they are at all? It's so weird to talk to people that you don't know and expect it to be meaningful. So I would say those are the ways that you kind of stand out as an expert. And again, it's really perception. So you just want your audience to perceive that you know what you're talking about and that you want to be helpful. And I guarantee you, I will hire you every single time over someone who has all the education, all the degrees, all the fancy stuff that they can put on their resume. I will hire you every single time if you are approachable, you seem like you want to help, and you've said some cool stuff for free that I was able to access. I'm going to hire you every single time before I hire somebody who is distant, third person, fancy in my face, and it doesn't seem like you're here to help me. You've never replied to a tweet of mine. You've never even favorited something I said online or anything like that when I've been trying to interact with you. All right, so I would say, in Dawn, in answer to your question, build an experience for people and build content that is valuable. The next question I wanted to get to was actually from Tiffany. And she asked, with so many others out there claiming to be experts and gurus, this is kind of feeding off of Dawn's questions. Dawn's question, I can talk. How do you position yourself as someone worth listening to, is what Tiffany's asking, especially if you don't even consider yourself an expert. So she says she knows she has a lot to offer newbies because she's been doing it so long. But if you don't have this doctorate level expertise, how do you position yourself as an expert? So Tiffany, everything we just said with Dawn, I'd say apply that to yourself. And then the second thing I want to say specifically to you is because you mentioned that you don't feel like one, or you don't feel like, you know, XYZ. Well, I would say to you, that is the perfect thing about you that's probably different. You probably have a heart to help. And I think those of us who always feel like what we're doing is not enough in one sense, we're the exact people who are able to kind of just humbly present this information and are always like, ooh, what extra can I add? Is this enough? Is this going to work? That nervousness is a good thing, because if you ever feel like you released a product and you're like, drop the mic, man, I just did this. There's no product that will ever be as good as mine on this topic. That's a problem. That's the person I don't want to learn from. If there's a person who's like, man, I'm going to put everything I can into this. I don't know. I'm nervous. Am I the right person? You are the right person. Somebody needs to hear it from you. They need to hear it from you, and they don't need to hear it from that other person that they don't connect with. So if you've been doing it for a while, if you have a heart to help, and you do have that kind of fear, that balance of, I don't know, I should do it, I don't know, that is a great thing. And I say, embrace that, go with it, and just allow it to help you build more value into the product and be more approachable. I'm sorry I'm talking so about this, because I really just believe that very, very much. Every single thing I do, I'm so nervous. Was nervous before this hangout, was nervous before everything I've ever released online. Every single thing. I mean it, absolutely. And the reality is you have to accept that somebody needs it from you. They need it from your voice and not somebody else's, okay? So anyway, I think that's important. I will leave it alone there, but definitely a great question. And the next question I want to get to is actually from Jackie. And I like, this is a change of pace. Jackie asked, what's your opinion on Squarespace for bloggers? She says she's currently using it and hasn't had any problems, but hasn't really been able to read good reviews or even bad reviews on Squarespace. And so wants to know. So basically, Jackie, I use WordPress. That's true. And I use WordPress for almost everything. Very, very true. Love WordPress. So many great features. However, I will say that I absolutely do recommend Squarespace in certain instances. WordPress is not always the answer. Squarespace is not always the answer. Shopify is not always the answer. Wix, all the other programs. It's really about what's going to function best for your needs. So here's the deal. If I was low on time, or if I was not interested in the learning curve that is WordPress, because there is a learning curve, I would just go with Squarespace. I would go with it because it's easy to set up, it's easy to use, it is search engine friendly. There could be the argument made that maybe it's not as search engine friendly as WordPress, because you can add all of these plugins and stuff with WordPress, and there's probably some validity to that. But I would say that it is built for search engines, and it's so easy for e-commerce. So everyone out there, if you're somebody who wants to start selling products or services and doesn't, want to have to learn how to integrate that, as a shopping cart plugin in WordPress, and just WordPress in general overwhelms you, I would say, yeah, absolutely use Squarespace. Erica Madden just made a good point in one of the communities that we're both a part of log into and create a free account at WordPress.com. It's going to be very similar to the WordPress.org experience, and play around with WordPress and just see if you like it and if you're able to manage it. Because if you are good with WordPress, then that's great to go with that platform, because there's so much that you can do to it and modify it for in the future. But if you start with Squarespace and you later learn, oh, I need more functionality, there's something that's missing here, you can always get a new website. It's not that you're married to it for the life of your website. But yes, I absolutely recommend Squarespace. Good SEO, amazing design, very easy to learn. I've set up sites in probably about 30 minutes sometimes with Squarespace. Sometimes it takes me a little bit longer, but I love Squarespace. And that is at squarespace.com for all of you who are not familiar with that. The next question I want to get to, and then I have just a few more, and remember you can add some questions as we go, is from Tamisha. She asked, how do you create quality videos without a full production team? She wants to be able to record her own videos and maybe outsource the editing, but she feels like she, wants to do as much as she can in-house. And she's an attorney by trade. Yay, my brother would love that. And you want to know if the information that you want to share with creativepreneurs would be if there's a real market for it. Okay, so everything we said about just validating the market earlier, like getting into communities and stuff like that, I think is a great space. I will say all of us creativepreneurs, we need more legal advice. We need to know how to protect ourselves. We need to know what is and is not allowed online. There's so much we need to know. So is there a market? I'm just going to say yes, number one to that. Number two, how do you create quality videos without a full production team? So obviously you can get deep into the research here, and there are a lot of great sites online that will help you with video production. But honestly, there are three main things that you want to pay attention to with video production. And obviously that's the quality of the video, number one, that like the actual thing that people are seeing. And for that, I'd say try and use like a nice DSLR camera or the HD recording off of your phone or your tablet or something like that, and get with good light. If you have good lights, some good natural light or some good, cheap studio lights that light your face well, light the scene well, that you're gonna be good. It's gonna look good. But I'd recommend probably a DSLR camera and just use whichever one is easiest for you to work with. I work with Canon. I work with a Canon T5i when I'm recording professional video. So that's something to look into, but it's really about using the tool you're gonna most be able to operate, right? So anyway, so there's visual, what people are seeing. Then there's audio, and with that, I would just say don't ever trust your built-in sound. I used to make videos with just, it was my camera, my computer sound, or whatever device I was recording in, just like my camera. I used the built-in microphone of my camera to get the sound, and that's not great. So you can hide these things, but I would invest in a lavalier, either like a wireless one or this one is wired, so it's actually connected to my computer right now, and this will help kind of mute out some of the sounds and the static and the that goes on in the background. Did y'all like that? Anyway. So I would go sound. That's another thing to pay attention to. And then content. Because the reality is, if the video does not look distractingly bad, and if I can hear you well and I don't hear a bunch of going on in the background, I don't know why that would be the deal, psycho sounding sounds in the background, but whatever. If that checks out and your content is actually helping me, then you are going to get people who love your videos, who share your videos, who buy your class with those videos in them, whatever it may be. So I say you don't need a production team. When you're going for the editing on the back end, what I really like to use myself is Camtasia, kind of spelled like it sounds, Camtasia. And a lot of people also like programs like ScreenFlow. One industry standard might be like an Adobe Premiere or a Final Cut Pro, but I don't think you need that level. iMovie is built into most Apple computers already, and iMovie has a lot of cool editing features. It's probably also on your iPad if you have that, okay? So that's my answer for you, Tamisha, and I love that question. And the next question I want to get to is Sam's, and then I have, I think, about two more that I want to get to. So Sam asked, any ideas on making money from a product that's attached to a free course without sounding salesy? So Sam has a free beginner's guide to essential oils, and it's an e-course that Sam is working on. And so the course is free, but it would be great, I'm assuming, for people to buy some of these essential oils from you after they're taking the course or during the course, okay? So Sam, this is what I'd say. I would say sit down, set a timer for 20 minutes, and seriously write down every single, maybe on separate note cards, every single thing that you would want to know about essential oils, and get creative with some of the topics. So I would go maybe some uncommon uses, how to fit it into your daily routine, where they fit in terms of like sickness and health, beauty applications, how I might gift package essential oils together, all these different ideas. Write down every single thing that you can think of on a separate note card or sticky note related to essential oils and the benefits of them and how you would want people to use them, and spread those out. And then I would say, honestly, build a course that is based on the most helpful ones of those, excuse me. Build a course based on the helpful ones, and build a lot of free content based on those too. So you would take a topic like the daily routines that you might want to go through with essential oils, what you would use in the morning for this, and what you would use at night for this, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then you can develop a whole video series that shows people exactly how they would apply that and do that. I don't know enough about essential oils to sound really intelligent here, but anyway. And then as a free piece of content that you release onto your site to kind of get people into your class, you could do like a little, you know, I guess like a little, what's it called, infographic that shows people which one they would use in the morning, how long they should do this in the afternoon, blah, 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 okay? And here's the deal. If you're just being helpful like that for free on your site and in the course, just showing people this is exactly how you would apply it. This is exactly how I would gift package them and send them to my friend who's, you know, stressed out or whatever, then people are just naturally going to buy them from you. You don't even have to be all like, and by the way, if you want these, click on this link exactly right here and buy them from me, yo. I don't think you have to be that. You can, but if you're super helpful, people are just gonna be like, oh, well, I'm on her site, I like her, I know her, I'm just gonna use her links to purchase, or his or her, I'm so sorry. I feel like Sam is like a girl Sam, like cool girl nickname Sam, but anyway, if you're a guy, I'm sorry, Sam. So that was my answer to your question, Sam. Everything you can lay out that's as helpful as possible and share that, and people will naturally buy the products from you. So one last question that I want to get to here is from our other Whitney. And Whitney asked, she said she's heard conflicting info online about how often people need to post. She makes crafting tutorials and she posts about once a week. Is that too little, and is it affecting me negatively? So Whitney obviously needs to spend time actually doing the crafts, and that means that you probably don't have a ton of time you wouldn't be able to release a high quality post every day of the week. And that's the point, is how often can you release very high quality posts? I would say in general, especially if you're trying to build up traffic, everyone, not to go less than once a week. That's just personally what I've seen as looking at Google Analytics, and especially when I was first building and when I've seen other people first build, less than once a week is probably not a great idea. You want to establish that consistency, and you want to establish those sold out, super fan kind of people, and it's really hard to do that if you're not posting often enough. And for those of you who you just absolutely can't manage to go past once a week, I would say make sure your other platforms are really, really built up. Do like, you know, some cool little 15-second tutorials on Instagram that don't take you that long, so videos, or on Twitter. You know, make sure that your Instagram is filled out, make sure that you're always pinning, make sure that you're participating in Twitter chats or hosting a Twitter chat. Be active elsewhere so that if someone really loves you, they're able to get enough of you online. Okay, that's if you're only doing once a week, or sometimes you're doing less than once a week, because that's me too. I do that at times. Other than that, I'd say just go to as many as you can do within that quality range, and maybe not try not to overwhelm your readers. And I would say you don't really need to go past 3 times a week, in my opinion. Are you hurting yourself to only do once a week? I don't think you're hurting yourself. You're probably going to get more traffic if you move it up to twice a week at some point. But for me, like for my brand, I don't personally ever really plan to go past 1 solid post per week. It would just be too much to develop. It takes me 16 hours sometimes, 24 hours sometimes for a particular post. And I just don't think it would be wise to do that multiple times per week. So you have to judge. I don't think you're hurting yourself. And I would just say try and be consistent in the other platforms as well. If you're not able to, if you're only doing like once a month, hold on, don't do that. If you're only doing, you know, once a week or maybe once every 2 weeks or something for a while because of your schedule, I'd say just really, really, really try and make sure that you're adding valuable content otherwise, other places. I don't know. I'm gonna speak this English thing. So then anyway, those were some great questions. And again, y'all, if I didn't get to your question, I apologize. I just wanted to make sure that we got just an overview of what it means to be an infopreneur. As I said, I'll try and answer more questions in my next email out to my email friends. You can sign up for that at byregina.com/emails. plural. And keep in mind, you guys are the first to hear that announcement that next month is going to be Infopreneur Book Month, Info BOMO. We're going to have a challenge, release those daily weekday lessons, and help everyone write a book in 30 days. It's going to be so exciting. So if you have been waiting to write a book, create a workbook, maybe even a course, this would still probably apply to you. I want next month to be Infopreneur Business Month in general, Info Bismo, okay? Anyway, so keep in mind we're having that next month. And I'm going to actually start a video series that explains more about how to approach infopreneurship, how you would get started with an infopreneur business, the type of stuff you should be releasing on your blog for free, the types of products that you can be developing when it's time to move into paid things, so creative coaching, developing workbooks and ebooks, all of that stuff, developing courses and communities. So as I told you at the beginning of the video, I finally, I just realized that within the first year, again, we're very honest about our income online, most of us bloggers. I was able to reach that, the six-figure mark of business. And one of the main things that has contributed to that in this first year of business has been courses and communities. So I'm going to start some weekend workshops where we'll explore more about developing each of those kind of things. So if you're interested in getting more information, very detailed information, with, of course, comes with workbooks and ebooks and all of that good stuff, because you know me, I think you know me. Then let me know, because I'm going to start teaching weekend workshops at really, really small price points so that the barrier to entry is low and people can learn it without paying $1 million. So anyway, thank you for being here with me on this Infopreneur Q&A webinar thing for ninjas, for creatives. And follow up with any questions via Twitter, and I will try and email out the answers to the rest of the questions, okay? Thanks, y'all. Bye.